Thanks, Kara. So one of the things we've discovered with Agile is that it's not as easy as maybe we had hoped to adopt. And so we run into lots of struggles, and many of those are addressed very well with the team-based processes, and they give us a lot of tools that help us work. But eventually, if we're scaling to large organizations of hundreds or thousands of engineers and software developers and business analysts and testers and such, then we run out of practices with the team-based approach, and we have to start building our own. So SAFe is really the product of a lot of those practices that people have used when they've been running into those roadblocks with their scaling efforts. So I put together a few of them here, and you may have some additional ones. And so when we get to the question period, I encourage anyone who has run into other roadblocks to bring them up, and we can make an attempt at least to talk about how SAFe could address those. So I'm not going to go into these in detail right now, but just know there's a number of them here that seem to resonate with our customer base, at least, when they are attempting to scale, and then they look to SAFe, or they look to us, or they look to other consultants to help them figure out a way forward. So let's go through them. As a building block for this, for our solutions, or for our way forward with these, with these roadblocks, things that we fall into and give us difficulty, we focus on principles. And the reason is we want to take everything we do back to a principle. And in one of the sections, we'll talk about some of the principles in a little bit more detail and how they apply. But really, the principles apply all over the place. Now, practices are very important, and practices are what we use to implement the principles. But we want to focus on the principle because that is the goal. And some of those principles you see here from a lean agile perspective in SAFe would be things like taking an economic view and applying systems thinking. Allow knowledge workers, number 8, you see towards the bottom, to do what they do really well and build an infrastructure that allows them to excel. Decentralize decisions as much as possible. Apply lean concepts like WIP limits, work in progress limits, and so on. So there's a number of these principles here that we rely upon, and then we use the practice that helps us to reach our objective that's in line with these principles. Now, before we go any farther, I want to make sure that everyone is clear in our position is that the Agile principles from the Agile Manifesto, and you can actually go see these still on agilemanifesto.org, these are unchanging. So these are still the foundation of everything we do, because everything we do is based on making individuals and teams more effective at delivering what the company needs, whether that be a software solution or a product that includes software and hardware. Now, some of the wording on these, are a little bit software centric, but the principle still applies, and there's a lot of people that have been looking into these, and these are still really the basic foundation of what we do in terms of, say, any other type of agile transformation. So the first one on my list was that the team of teams becomes too large a team in itself.